Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. Welcome to another of our Project Orchid updates. This one end of January, about 6 weeks after the last one, which was back in towards the beginning of December. And the next one will be in 6 weeks after this, so we'll be out into towards the middle of March by then, I would think. Now, we've had some changes as the project has progressed. We lost a plant and replaced it with one incredibly similar. And in addition to that, one of the plants, which was an individual Pleione bulb with a little bulbil, has now become a large potful. I think there was an envelope involved and contents of. Okay, so there have been some changes along the way. Nonetheless, I hope people are still enjoying these. I don't mind doing them. They are a little bit more awkward than doing a normal video because of the comparisons. But in this video I'm going to do it slightly differently because it's easier, and basically I don't think people have got such bad memories for this to be a problem. So what I normally do is at the end of the video I put each plant alongside the picture of what it looked like 6 weeks ago, and you get to look at the two pictures alongside each other and then on to the next one, etc. for the 6 plants. 5 plants? 5 plants. Losing track here. But what I'm going to do this time is the tripod will have the plants in a fixed position, which is roughly how they are when I do the still for the next update. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to superimpose the picture from 6 weeks ago and then drop back into the video again, because I think people can look at what the plant looks like. The still from 6 weeks ago can come up, they can have a good look at that, and then drop back into the video and carry on looking at the plant as it is now. I think that will work okay, but let me know what you think. It also means we're doing it as we go instead of waiting till the end for the comparison. So we do each plant in turn as we're going along. And if this appears to work better, then I'll continue doing it this way for the rest of this project, which ends around May. I said I'd do it for a year. So we're going to have the middle of March, April to May. So we've only got 2 updates left. We've got another update middle of March, and then once we get out into May it'll be the final update where I might do it very differently. We might actually look at the stills from the very beginning, roll the next one, roll the next one, and take you through the whole sequence of the stills, ending up with the original and what it looks like in May. So a year's difference, but it will probably be different to end the project. We will see how we go. Anyway, stop waffling, Roger, and let's get on with this one. Okay, so our first plant is the Masdevallia falcata. Now this one doesn't really show up much of a difference, and unless it comes into bloom you're not going to see much difference on this one. It does produce new leaves, so slowly but surely it is getting bigger. It drops very few. It puts on more than it drops, which is good. We've got some root activity in the pot, so we've got some roots. This one's doing okay. I'm actually quite pleased with this. And I'll pause now so that I can pop up the previous view on top of this one. And then we drop back to this one. Very pleased with this. I suspect this will come into bloom when the day length, the amount of daylight gets longer, and we might get a little bit better temperatures during the day. I know these are cool growers, but they still like that distinct rise between the night temperature and the day temperature, and during this time of year I get very little difference. and with the shorter amounts of daylight, it's probably thinking it's permanently in the dark. So I suspect some brighter light and larger amounts of daylight and slightly warmer daytime temperatures should bring this back into bloom again. We shall see. Keeps producing the new growths, obviously it needs those to bloom, but doing okay, pleased with that one. Okay, our second plant is the Coelogyne cristata. Now this replaced a plant that was lost partway through the project. Although the original plant was Cristata lemoniana, so I mean we haven't really changed it that much, apart from the previous one got mounted and then got thrown away because it failed. So this is a replacement. Nonetheless, we are still following Coelogyne cristata. Now last time we looked at this, we had spikes, yes, but they were like this. Well, you'll see in the pop-up later. Whereas now the spikes are extending quite nicely, and certainly this spike will be in bloom in the not too distant future. Whether it will still be in bloom at the next update, I don't know, but I'll certainly do a video showing the blooms, and we can include that next time round if they finish before then. You're looking at, I'm doing these updates every 6 weeks. This is going to be in bloom quite soon. This one will take somewhere between 4 days and a week, I suspect, before it opens. So it's got to last like 6 weeks, or at least 5 anyway, and they might not last that long. But the plant's doing okay, apart from its lack of roots on the rhizome extensions, which the spikes are on, and there's still no roots coming from there. The plant itself has reasonable roots though. Okay, so I'll just pause so that we can put the pop up and let you have a look at what it looked like back in December. Okay, and then we come back. As you can see, there's no difference in the plant as such. The difference is the fact that the spikes have extended and will be open soon. So that's that one. And the next one is the Miltoniopsis Herralexander, and it's finally finished blooming. The blooms were open a long time, so it's done very well. And this is a plant that's been grown on, so although this looks like a new growth, it's not. Yeah, it's actually one of the older bulbs. And that's its size because it was a young plant when it grew, and then obviously it's grown more bulbs, and then we got to the one, is this the one that actually flowered? Can't remember. But we've got another bulb here that is actually a new growth, and it's coming out there under that leaf. So this, in theory, may flower, but we may be waiting for a new growth, a complete new growth. I'll have to check the video. I've got a feeling I have my head in the way there. I forget where the camera is while I'm not actually holding it. But yes, so I mean, finished blooming. We're now sort of letting it grow on, hopefully push some more roots out at some point. And although it has got some roots for a Miltoniopsis, that's always good. And hopefully we will get a new growth, maybe 2, in the not too distant future. And if the growths we've got currently aren't going to bloom, the next one should. It's certainly mature enough. So right, I'll pause for the pop-up. Okay, and there we go. There's not much more to say about this. It's not really affected by temperatures too much, as long as it doesn't get hot, at which point it will probably stop growing. But as long as my daytime temperatures are a bit bigger than my nighttime, it's happy. And as long as it's cool, it's happy. And it doesn't need the bright light. So all it needs to do is just grow on and not lose its roots. hasn't that long been repotted, so there's no root disturbance in the foreseeable future. So that's that one. Okay, before we get going on this one, I'm going to put the pop up at the beginning and have a chat about why we've got such a difference. Right, so as you can see, the project orchids were the original bulb in its pot and one of the bulbils that was potted up separately. Those were the project orchids. Okay, and at the time, last time we filmed, I was probably expecting to leave them in those pots and just let them do their thing this year, coming into 2026. However, dropping back to what we've got now, I was given quite a lot of the same type of Pleione, and as a consequence these always look best when they have a mass blooming. So in preparation for the mass blooming, I've put all the bulbs in this shallow clay pan. They've been potted up. The biggest one, which is our project orchid, is this one in the middle, and its growth is starting to push above ground. So that one at least is coming into growth. Whether any of the others are flowering size or not, I'm not sure, but there's no need to start watering this yet. These new growths need to push on a bit before the roots will push out, but I've seen evidence that the roots start before the flowers open. So somewhere between the growths coming up above ground and getting to the point where they produce some buds, need to start introducing a bit of water, but not too much. The idea is to make the roots search down into the pot for moisture, and that's why I used bark. I've used the small seedling bark. There's broken up moss and some perlite in the mix. So in the growing season, when they need moisture and feed, obviously the moss will help keep these hydrated, save me having to water them too frequently. So that's why it's in a totally different pot. Decided to put them all in together, and in this pot are tiny bulbils, larger bulbils, some medium-sized bulbs, and our one large bulb, which is in fact the project orchid. So next time we look at this, we may have a flower, hopefully more than one. But given that at Mather's, you know, they're in bloom in March and April, I've been there and seen them at that time of year. So, you know, these hopefully push on relatively quickly once they start. And I don't believe, well, I'm different information from different places says that the increase in the amount of daylight and an increase in daytime temperatures starts these back into growth. And it's also said that if you hold them in the cold temperatures and restrict light, you hold them back. So if you actually wanted them to bloom later in the year, you could actually do that if you wanted. I'm interested in getting some blooms as soon as possible while it's cool, and they'll last longer. And in addition to that, because of my growing conditions, I will have a longer growing season to produce bigger bulbs, nice big leaves, and everything else that follows on. Holding them back also reduces their growing season, and obviously that's the time when the bulbs need to swell up ready for next year. Okay, so that's that one. And the last one is our Cymbidium copper. Now, strictly speaking, there's hardly any difference between 6 weeks ago and now. And given the fact that it's in bloom, that's quite impressive, you know. And so I consequently looked up. This one opened its first bloom on this spike towards the end of November. So about the third, just at the end of the third week of November, that sort of time. And we are now at the end of January, and the blooms are showing no signs of going over. In fact, I lied. You've just got a touch of brown on this bloom here. Just. so maybe they are going to go over relatively soon, but I am well pleased with the amount of time I've got out of these blooms. They're very attractive, got a lovely pattern in the lip, nice veining, and quite honestly, compared with last year, the blooms aren't quite as bright, so we do have a slight difference. It's not my best plant by a long shot. Once this spike's finished and I see a new growth starting, this one will get repotted because I'm going to remove some of the back end of the plant. There's more back end than front end, so it's you know, it's not going to do as well. And we can generate a nice new root system by taking it out of this pot, cutting away the back end. We've got two good strong bulbs, both with leaves on, and we'll have our new growth, which is one bulb too short for a proper blooming size plant. You need 3 good bulbs, but under normal circumstances those need to be bulbs with leaves on, and I haven't got that choice. So I don't think it's worth keeping the back end. We may have to miss a year of blooms, but I'll just pause for the pop-up. And there we go, dropping back again. So as you can see, there's very little difference. I mean, I haven't lost loads of leaves or anything. There's no new growth started, and we still have our bloom spike with the same number of blooms on. So there's no real change on this. By the time we get to 6 weeks from now, we may well have repotted this. And if I repot it prior to the next Project Orchid update, then I will include at least part of that video as the update. In fact, the repotting may be the update for this plant. We'll see how we go. It would make sense, wouldn't it? Okay, so that's the last one. I hope you're still enjoying the Project Orchids. They take a little bit of thinking on how I'm going to do them, because I don't do them the same each year. And certainly doing the comparisons at the end with the side-by-side stuff is not easy, because obviously the pictures need to be roughly the same size, same angle, all that. It's not that easy doing that. Now what I've done in this video I think is a lot easier, and people have got reasonable memories. You know, if you're looking at a plant and then a picture is imposed on the top with what it looked like 6 weeks ago, and you get a bit of a chance to look at it, and then it drops back to the plant as it is now, that's not bad, and that's very easy for me to do, providing I get the stills obviously and save them away ready for the next update, which I will do. So anyway, I hope you're still enjoying these, and the next one will be in approximately 6 weeks time, which takes us out into March. So we will have much longer daylight hours. Maybe that will have had an effect on some of the plants. Who knows? I hope to get a growth on this Cymbidium going by then, but we shall see how it goes. Okay, thanks for dropping by. See you next time.